Hello everyone. I have a flip through of a few books. These were made from novels. I just took the book blocks out of them and painted the covers and then added, for these I added fancy papers. So what I did was took the book block out of these covers and used acrylic paint to paint them. I didn't prep them or anything. Some of the cloth covers take a little bit more paint. The paint soaks into them really well. So I just put a couple coats on and then put some fancy stamps on top for decoration. I like that. I'm really liking painting the covers directly instead of using paper to cover it. It covers up the titles and stuff, and I just like the way it looks. So I have been going through my papers, scrapbook papers and such. A few years back, I want to say 2 or 3, maybe even longer, I was in a get the fancy scrapbook paper mode, to get the fancy, this one has fibers in it. It comes in the great big huge sheets. Handmade papers and things. I would come across them and I love them. And I thought I'm going to make a really special project with these because they're really cool and I think they're neat and I think they'd be really cool together. But I just kept saving them and never using them for anything. So as I'm going through my stuff, trying to reduce and get rid of and use up, I'm coming across all these fancy scrapbook papers, and so I put them aside. This one is actually a page from my first journaling by fives I didn't like, so I tore that all up. So I put those papers aside and started making a book with them. And I just fell in love with it. I absolutely loved it. So I can't part with that one. And so I made another one. Looks exactly like it, or pretty close. And used up more of the papers. This one is a photograph that I took and printed on copy paper. Should show you the other side of that. Where is it? I don't know where it is. I'll come across it. So I did, I was looking at all the papers that I had. I want to use things up. There's the other side. Some birds over the ocean. And so I didn't use up as much as I thought for my book. So I started again and made another one and put the same kinds of papers in it to use things up. And I did notice while I was going through all my papers that I do have, here's another one that's got little holes in it, I guess. It's one of those handmade papers. I just love these and never used them for anything. I did notice while going through these papers that there were some color schemes. Some papers looked better together. And so I was inspired to make a few books with different color schemes. So that's what all of these are. Most of them are the fancy scrapbook papers. There's painted papers in here, handmade papers, some printouts. Here's a tracing paper. It's my flip-flop stamp. Player piano paper. I like the embossed stuff. Here's one with glitter on it. But I just love the way they all look together. There's some plain papers in here too. One of my favorites. 3 or 4 sheets of this. It's thin like tissue paper, but it's got the little flecks of, it looks like Japanese writing, like a newspaper or something in it. Really cool stuff. Anyway, my mustache scrapbook paper, love that too. This one's kind of plain. It's got lots of plain papers in it just so it can be used as an art journal, glue book, or whatever. It's got potential to be anything you really want it to be. So it's got things in it, but it's still kind of plain enough to do stuff with without worrying about messing it up. The cover, the spine is pretty thick, so I think there's 5 signatures in this one. Here's another one. This is one of my scans. I put keys on the scanner bed and put painted paper over it and scanned that. It's not really a photograph, but it's pretty close to a photograph. So I'm still using stuff up, but it doesn't seem like I'm using things very quickly. I still have quite a bit of stuff to use. So this has been pretty easy for me to do, stress-free. It's nice to be using things up. And that is that one. There's another one of those cool papers, the painted papers. So that's that one. This is the next one that I did, and the colors kind of reminded me of like romantic Renaissance or something. So the pages that I chose for this one are gold, a lot of coffee dyed pages in here. I had white pages in here, but the white was too distracting, so I took them out, put some coffee on some of the pages, on the white pages especially, and then put them back, and I really like the way that it turned out. So this one doesn't have white to it anymore. And of course, I like the different size pages. This one's velvet, and it picks up everything. This is a weird, it's almost like fabric, but it's fibers of some sort. It's weird, but it's cool stuff. And I've had that for at least 10 years. It is really time to use things up. This one has a lot of the scrapbook papers in it. A lot of fancy papers. And that's one of those that has the fibers in there. You see the gold leaf on those. I don't know what it is about those papers, but I have stopped buying them now. I haven't bought anything like that for a few years, but at one point, I would see them and gee whiz, I just could not help myself from getting them. And then I never did anything with them. They are real cool. And this one only has 3 signatures in it. The spine isn't quite as big as the other one. That's velvet. Oh, gosh, that's just nice. This is some kind of fabric, like a metallic fabric. And just as an experiment, I put some of that in. It can be torn out if someone doesn't like it. You know, you can rip it out if it doesn't work right. There's plenty of pages in here to do whatever. That is that one. And then this one, I still had the blue, I had papers left over and thought, let me use one of these black covers and use some of the silver on it, wax paper. This one is a page from an old napkin journal I was doing. I have been tearing apart projects that, you know, I just don't have a lot of time anymore. There are things that I want to do, and I just don't have time to do everything. So I have been pulling apart things and adding them to books. I'm trying to get rid of use up stuff. Get rid of and mostly use it up. So this one has a lot of silver scrapbook papers in it, painted papers, one of those with the fibers in it. This is what I was using to clean off paint off my tools when I was doing the cover. The other part of that napkin journal page. This one only has 3 signatures in it as well. Another scan. I like to put things on the scanning bed and just see what happens. Here is a magazine page that I was painting and collaging on. It needed to find a place to live. There's some handmade stamps. I guess I was testing them out on this page. Wrapping paper. This came from a book. It's see-through. Thought it was cool. It's in Spanish. Another experimental something. And I scanned some paper bits, printed those out. Another one of those handmade paper things. I love that stuff. It is nice to get things used up, though, because they look real nice in the book. It's watercolor paper. And that's the inside of the cover. And that is that one. Here's the spines. I might add some charms to these. I have some charms It would be nice to use those up too, so I may add some of those, but I just wanted to show you the pages, what to do with some scrapbook paper. If you're looking to use up some stuff, this was a really great way to do it. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.